I'd like to call this meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Here.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner McKinney?
Here.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Here.
Mayor Hill?
Here. Pastor Cifuentes.
Let's pray. Dear Father, we come to you today with a grateful heart. Thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for all your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the appropriate responsibilities you have given each one of us today. In scriptures, you have said that we ought to obey all authorities. You have established those very authorities to promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the city officials in particular, for this assembled council. I am asking that you would grant them wisdom to govern the issues of our times, a thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together even when there is disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live in this great city, the city of Zion. I pray this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 is agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have agenda changes? Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
A motion? Second? Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 5 is citizens' comments. Clyde McLemore. Clyde McLemore. Next is Jay Brunston from Lincoln. Bruston.
Basically, the field questions, I heard that there's, you're
Yes.
on our thing, so
Okay.
just to let you know I'm here.
All right. Just to have the record show that citizens' comments ended at 4 minutes after 7. Item number 6 is the consent agenda. Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
Approval of amended minutes of a regular meeting held on June 21st, 2016 at 7 p.m. Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on July 19th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Approval but not release of closed session minutes of a meeting held on July 19th, 2016 at 8:36 p.m. Bills, vouchers 124-124 through 124-218 drawn on First Merit Bank, total $601,605.53.
Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, just to let Mr. Bremner know that we did make that correction on the June 21st minutes.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Is there a discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 7 is consider passing ordinance as follows. 7A is to lease 36 square feet of the unimproved 29th Street right-of-way and 288 square feet of unimproved city property totaling 329 square feet for additional parking for Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Romero Aranda, the owner of the property located at 1007 29th Street, is requesting to lease 36 square feet of unimproved 29th Street right-of-way and 288 square feet unimproved city property, totaling 324 square feet for additional parking. Based on past right-of-way leases, staff has recommended an annual cost of $250. Attached is a copy of lease for your review.
If the commissioners will recall, this came up, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, and it involved building on one of the boulevards, the Caledonia Boulevard, and I spoke, I think, with enthusiasm about not doing it because we wanted to maintain the integrity of the boulevards and the original layout of the city, and it did not pass. Mr. Ianson has worked hard, and they've come up with a way that the gentleman can get his required parking without infringing on the boulevard. So that's why it's before you tonight, and is there a motion?
I make a motion that we pass the ordinance.
Have a motion
Second?
and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
No.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 8 is discussion, authorization, and approval. 8A is a motion to reconsider zoning docket 16Z9 requesting a special use permit to operate a landscape supply, transfer station, salt supply, truck parking, outdoor storage, and small engine repair facility at 1410 Green Bay Road as petitioned by Fred Schall per Commissioner Fryerson.
Make a motion that we reconsider the zoning docket for 16Z9, requesting a special use permit.
Have a motion? Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Okay, so we approved this. I think it was a split vote, but the majority. So Commissioner Fryerson, you are bringing this to the table again. Is that the reason for us to
Correct.
reconsider this? Because you
Correct.
want to bring it to the table. Okay, so that's the motion, to reconsider
To
it.
reconsider, correct.
Yes. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8B is consider zoning docket 16Z-9, requesting a special use permit to operate a landscape supply, transfer station, salt supply, truck parking, outdoor storage, and small engine repair facility at 1410 Green Bay Road as petitioned by Fred Schall per Commissioner Fryerson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends denial.
So I went back and took a look at the documentation that was provided, also had the opportunity to talk to a few residents. And the information that was provided in terms of the solid business plan for the business, it seemed lacking to me. I talked to the clerk to find out if we did actually have a supermajority, and then also wanted to go back and reconsider some of the reasons that planning and zoning were going against it. And I don't believe that we had a rich enough discussion to actually support the reason why we would go against planning and zoning. It's a business that's coming into the city, but there wasn't really, again, a real thought-out plan on what they plan to do with the business. So my understanding for the pre-development meeting was it was landscape and supply and compost transfer. And then by the time we got before the council, there was a ton of other businesses that were going to be added to it. So again, with no business plan, with no real projections, it doesn't feel like the right move for the city right now. There's also a lot of regulation with IEPA and IDOT that need to be sought out. So if any of that gets held up and this business gets started and then something stalls along the way, then we're left with a potential eyesore on Green Bay Road in an area that's, you know, in a pretty good corridor within the city that would like to be developed. So I don't think it's worth the risk to have that eyesore.
Commissioner Fryerson, is that, do you feel that's the basis for the 4 votes against this permit change, because the possibility of it being an eyesore?
So that was my personal opinion. Going back and rereading what planning and zoning, they had concerns about air pollution and light pollution. But then again, with the other proposed businesses for the trucks, for the rigs, That's a potential danger in terms of the way that that lane is laid out right now. So those were some of the considerations that I took into account for bringing this back up for reconsideration.
I've got a couple of questions, if I could also. When we were talking about it here at the last meeting, there were some questions that were raised, and I didn't think we got very good answers on it. And I guess my question to the attorney is first, if we're given a special use permit and we grant the special use permit, and please take no offense at this, if they decide, once that special use permit is granted, to not follow, to just do whatever they want.
They'd be in violation of the special use.
But the only thing in the special use permit says that they take the house down. We talked a little bit about screening, they brought up tipping.
Right, tipping is a separate issue. They would, right now, they're just seeking the permission from the city to use it for that intended use. Any other code, and Director Ianson could maybe qualify the answer as well, any specific code requirements, they still, unless they need a variance, which would require them to go back to planning and zoning, they would still have to comply with all city code. So in terms of fencing or buffering, if that is required by the city, they're just seeking right now the special use. You don't have to put everything in. It goes without saying you have to comply with code.
Right, but there are,
Well, to say buffering and screening is more if it butts up to a residential district or area, that's when that comes into play.
right, I guess, there was we were directed, the last time they made an example, I think they said that there were two places between Lewis Avenue and Green Bay Road, or there was one place between Lewis Avenue and Green Bay Road, and I happened to take a ride out there, and there's a facility, this talks about truck storage. There are two facilities out there that they look horrible, absolutely horrible, because all the truck storage is right on Wadsworth Road. One of them's between Green Bay Road and Lewis, and then there's another one that's between Green Bay and Delaney, and they look just horrible. There's a garden center that looks great that's between Lewis and Green Bay Road, and what I would like to, my thoughts on this, and I voted against this at the last meeting, is I would really like this to go back to zoning, and I would like the staff to sit down and require, I'd like to see a layout of what this is gonna look like when it's done. I don't want the trucks parked on Green Bay Road. I want them back in the back of the property. I think that needs to be part of the special use permit. I think that the screening I think there needs to be a screening plan, and not just, we're gonna screen it, but there needs to be a plan. And I know it's a separate matter, but there was mention of tipping fees the last time we were here. I think Director Nabel needs to be involved and negotiate what that tipping fee is. And I just feel that if we need to get this, and I think your point is very well taken. I think there was just not enough information, and we passed it. And this protects not only the owners of the property for the future, it also protects the city, because they'll know what our expectations are, and a different council will not be able to come along and say, you're not doing what you promised or what the city expected. We get it all in writing. And then we also will know what we're getting. And if the person who's putting this in doesn't comply with that, then we have something to stand on. But right now, I don't know what it's going to be like 3 years from now or 4 years from now, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. And I just think there needs to be a much, much, much better plan. I know the application that you submitted talks about what will be there after 3 or 4 years and how it will be phased in, but I'd like to know exactly where it's going to go. Somebody brought up the question of, we're talking about truck storage. Well, what kind of truck storage is it? Is this just, is this front end loaders? Is this semis? Are they going to be running? Are they going to be parking there and sleeping there? Are these things going to be running all night long in the winter to keep them warm? There's just a lot of questions that I think we need to have answered before I would feel comfortable. And I give you a lot of credit for bringing this back. I think it needs to be looked at in much more detail. And I also, somebody needs to talk to us about the tipping fees. Now, I don't think you can answer these questions tonight.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and I
They're
hate,
not here anyway. Basically, I'm the landowner,
okay,
and I'm just looking for a tenant.
okay, all right.
Of course, of the two partners, one, it was in Florida, didn't realize there was, about the meeting, and the other
Right.
one had to go to the ER, his son got injured tonight, just like an hour ago, I just found out. I have several, I own the advanced auto parts store, I'd like to be a good citizen of
Right.
Zion. I mean, that's creating a lot of taxes here, property and sales tax for
Right.
yourself. This property has been, a headache with me, I don't want to go into what happened before, but I would like to, bring money into Zion with it. I mean, he approached me, I mean, I would love to do something, but there hasn't been a whole lot of, I've been working with Sandalita trying to put something on that street, and there hasn't been a whole lot of activity or demand for anything around there. So when he approached me with this idea, I mean, granted, he was a little, ambitious about, asking for everything, but, the main thing is that he could construct the landscaping supply, that would be in the front, and it would look sort of like Vito's place on Green Bay,
Right,
on
and I-
Wadsworth Road,
and I-
which is what, I don't have any of his diagrams or his drawings, but that was what he was envisioning, the front half, the eastern portion of that property would be the retail landscape. And then where the berm is, if you drove by, there's a second berm, and that's where all the other activities would be, and it's not just, he kind of got carried away with the semis. He has several businesses that, like a paving company, there's 3 paving companies that's looking for storage, and a couple of landscapers, and a tree service, so they all have trucks, but they're not all gonna go out at the same time, and then he had 12 semis, over-the-road semis that would park there, but they're not gonna come in and out all, at clockwork at 8 o'clock. So, you're right, I will have him present another
Okay,
plan.
And I agree with you, Vito's place looks great.
Right.
I mean, that's one of, do you know which 2 places I'm talking about on Wadsworth over there?
Well, the place that's down on the corner is, right on the corner of Green Bay and Wadsworth Road.
Yeah, and then there's a one that's real close, oh yeah, I guess that's there, and then there's the other one farther west between Green Bay and Delaney. And they both look just
Right.
like a mess. They look like a mess. And I appreciate, and we will truly try and work with you to get you a tenant on your property.
Right, that's all I
But like you said, you want a tenant, and that's what I'm afraid of.
But I also
You want a tenant.
I'm working with him to do this, so, because
Right.
he doesn't, he's a startup business, so I was gonna
Okay.
work with him on the way of payment, so that's why it's, it'd be a, win for all, if
Right.
we can get it going. So whatever he needs to do, is there a person, Rich has been helping out a lot, but who should we talk to at the planning board then?
I think it's gonna be Rich and Sonalito. We'll just have to get everybody sitting down together and come up with a plan, and I'll be sure, and I think all the commissioners will be sure and share their concerns on what they like. I think we just need more detail. We need to put it in writing. You sign it, we sign it, then we can take that back to zoning, and zoning can say either, make another recommendation that hopefully will be, just with a little more, I guess I got the impression from the zoning board that they were a little confused of exactly what was gonna happen there, and I'm still not quite sure what's
I
gonna
wasn't
happen.
at the zoning meeting, I don't know either,
But anyway.
I understand what you're saying, all right.
Right,
So I make a motion that we deny the special use permit for
Right.
zoning docket 16Z.
Can we table it?
Are
or-
you making a motion to deny it or to refer it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for further consideration and/or reconsideration?
Because if you deny it, it goes back there, then it's a kill deal from what I understand.
Well, so how does that work? I thought they would just kind of go back to scratch either way.
I heard you can't come back with,
Within 12 months?
that's what I heard.
Okay.
So are you
And that kinda
referring,
kills the whole
or are
idea.
you tabling it?
I think I'd like to,
To
Can we
table.
table?
Are you referring it back to Planning and Zoning, or do you want them to meet with pre-development, tabling this?
I'd like to see him meet with pre-development, and then go back to planning and zoning, refer it back to planning and zoning, after there's a plan drawn up with the pre-development.
So that would be
So
in,
it's a-
in consult with Sonalito and Director Ianson?
And the development,
And-
pre-development group.
So we're not looking at a 12-month wait
No,
then?
no.
Okay, so,
Well, then,
I don't, right, yeah, I want to be sure we do something, we don't
Push
require
them
you to
off
go
for
12 months.
Okay. So
because then
then,
you can't deny it otherwise.
so then I make a motion that we table it and refer it back to pre-development and planning and zoning.
for further consideration.
For further
And
consideration.
or reconsideration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
My only discussion was just to echo some of the sentiments that both of you expressed. I voted against it initially because I didn't think the plan was clear enough, more concise enough for us to understand exactly what we're dealing with. So I think I am in agreement with tabling it to get more details sorted out. Because I think the other issue, the other important issue is that businesses coming in, we have to continue to work to have businesses come in, but they have to have their planning so that we completely understand and how it's gonna impact the city overall.
I think he just came in, he was a little ambitious and just threw everything at the.
His presentation, which is talking in front of a group, is a very difficult thing,
Right.
and you kinda get a little scattered, and that was my biggest concern, when we left. So this is, I think, the right way for us to go about it.
Okay, but I remain, so as long as we don't have to wait 12 months, then we'll pursue something else.
On advice of legal counsel is that we amend the motion, so we have to have a,
Wait, what is the motion on the table, on the floor right now?
To table and refer it to the pre-development and go back to planning and zoning in consultation with Sonalito and Director Ianson for further consideration or reconsideration.
so we need,
And we're going to, I would ask Commissioner Fryerson to amend that motion to just table the matter and refer to pre-development and staff for further consideration. And
Okay.
at this time, not refer back to planning and zoning. Let it go to pre-development first. Are you amending your motion?
Yes, so.
Whatever you say.
So we're amending the motion to table it and send it back to
Pre-development.
pre-development.
pre-development,
To
and,
work with staff on.
and then it would come back to the council because legal counsel believes that if it goes back, if we refer it back to planning and zoning, it would require another 12 months. So
I'll
is-
second that.
And you'll second the
Amended motion.
Okay, so now we have to vote. We have,
I'm tabling it and sending it back to pre-development. That's the motion and that's the second. So the matter isn't being voted on. The special use isn't being granted or denied tonight. It's being referred back to pre-development and staff.
Okay, don't we have to vote on his amended motion first?
Right.
And then we vote on the
Yes.
motion?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we have to vote on the, well, we,
No,
No,
no.
we didn't take a vote on the first motion, did we?
No.
So he's amending that, and he's amending the second.
okay,
So we're okay.
all right. So, if we vote yes on this, it goes back to
Pre-development.
pre-development, and then it comes back to the city council.
When they're ready, yes.
When they're ready,
Because
okay.
we're tabling the matter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Don't anybody dare. Just kidding. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8C is request approval of 2016-2017 project year hotel motel tax grant application for Potawatomi Trails Powwow Inc. per Director Nabel, but I'm going to speak to this. I ask that this be placed on the agenda for consideration again. This was brought up, this was on the last council agenda, and there was a motion and it died for a lack of a second. And I'm not sure that everybody understood exactly what we were voting on when we did it the last time. And I just wanted to bring it back up and explain that this is a $6,000 grant out of hotel motel tax for the Potawatomi Trails Powwow. You have the information in front of you, the same as last week. And I just wanted to be sure that everybody understood that, what we were voting on, because there was some confusion whether we were voting on the powwow and the Dungeons of Doom at the same time, and I just want to be sure that we're clear. Is there a motion on this at all?
So moved. I'll make a motion that we grant the $6,000 from the hotel motel tax to Potawatomi Trails, Powwow.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk?
One of the reasons for my hesitation on seconding the motion at our last council meeting was a representative wasn't here, and I just noticed the disparity between the budget for the whole event and advertising. So advertising is about 40%, and that's what that $6,000 is going for. And could you address that, why so much of your budget is going into the advertising?
Sure. I'm Bill Brown, and I'm the chairman of the Potawatomi Trails Powwow.
If you want to come up and speak in the microphone?
Okay. Again, my name is Bill Brown, and I'm the chairman of the Potawatomi Trails Powwow. And what I did is I belong to a network of people, that different nonprofits and everything. And what I did is I reached out to these people and asked them what the atypical budget for somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 project range was. And that's the numbers that I got back, and that's atypical of any organizations that's doing a project like what we're doing, a cultural festival. And that's why that number is that high. And this is our third year of application. And if you go back and look at our previous years, we've spent just about most of the money every year. And it's been in newspaper, it's been to bring people into town. And that's what the goal of this grant is, from what I understand.
Yes, it is.
So, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it. I mean, we get people from Europe and everything else visiting in Chicago that come up here during this time frame. We've had people from Japan, different countries, and it has brought more variety to the city of Zion. This is our 23rd year. This is a passion for me, and so we try to do a better job every year. And so, I mean, if there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy. It's just like I said, the $6,000 is atypical of any other program for any nonprofit doing a program like this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't think there's any other questions. I don't think it was equitable for us not to grant it last week. I mean, my position on it is still, the same, in the sense that I think we do need to spread it around and do a better job of, marketing that fund, that grant, and get more people applying for the applications. And also talk to Director Nabel and Ms. Bronson about doing a better job of tracking the heads that actually come into town. So I think that we can work with, folks like Mr. Brown to make sure that we're, really capturing that and capitalizing on getting those extra people into town.
Commissioner Farson, can I make a comment here?
Sure.
One of the things that you will see is actually a report. In my report last year, you'll actually see the number of people that came from the local communities, Kenosha, outside of that, and actually how many people that actually stayed over, because we do a physical survey at that event now. Okay?
Great.
So we do give you those numbers.
Okay.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9D is request approval of First Amendment to plat of easement grant and grant of access easement for 1920-1922 Sheridan Road per Director Colangelo.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the last city council meeting, the council approved the plat of consolidation for 1920-1922 Sheridan Road for a youth kidney dialysis center. Attached is the First Amendment for the access easement for this and the adjacent property. This will allow the city access to utilities and allow access on the former 20th Street right-of-way to the neighboring Jiffy Lube facility. Staff requests and recommends approval of this amendment.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9 is departmental commentary. Is there any departmental commentary? Director Colangelo?
Yes, I just wanted to inform the council that I'll be bringing in an item to the next council meeting. Staff went out and requested bids for tree removal for all the dead ash trees throughout the city that were destroyed by the MO ash borer. What we did is we segmented the city into 4 sections, and we went with a base bid and then 3 alternate bids, so they would give the council an idea of what each section would cost, and we also requested that they put a time frame on duration of work to complete it. I do want to say that by doing this in bulk, the prices that came in, the low bid that came in for this project is very favorable to the city. So the opportunity is there for the council to take a good look at this, and and if it's feasible, our recommendation at the next meeting is that we bid out the entire city for this ash tree removal.
One of the issues that's been facing us, obviously, is the safety issue with these trees, and hand in hand with that is our budget constraints that we have. And I'd like to ask, I think there's a good possibility this can happen if we could have Commissioner Deteen and Commissioner Fryerson get together with Director Colangelo and Director Nabel and look and see if we can finance this over a 3-year period or so. I believe we put $50,000, we've been putting $50,000 a year in the budget to take care of it, and I think if we use that money and see if we can finance it, I'm hoping we can get this done within a very short period of time, because Director Colangelo has had some of us out looking at some of these trees, and there's a safety issue, and we need to get them down as fast as we can, because they deteriorate quickly. So that's good news. Thank you. Item number 10 is announcements. Thursdays through September 29th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the Zion Farmers Market at Sheridan Road and Shiloh Boulevard. The Jubilee Days parade route change. The parade steps off as always from Shiloh Boulevard, 25th Street and Emmaus Avenue, and heads north to 23rd Street, east on 23rd to Sheridan Road, and south on Sheridan Road ending at 29th Street. Sheridan Road from 29th to 31st Street will be closed for parade disbursement. August 16th, 6:30 p.m., Zion Township Board meeting. At 7 p.m., a Zion City Council meeting. We have a need, item number 11 is we have a need for a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, open meetings for the discussion of collective bargaining. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye.
Before you are going to close session, can I just, counsel?
We're going into closed session right now. We're going into closed session right now. I called your name twice for public comment.
So you